Okay, so for this part of the lecture, we're going to be discussing kind of your challenge for the week, which would be implementing Simon into a background plate and having his lighting match. Use the background plate as a driving force in determining his lighting look. So the first thing that we want to do is obviously to select an image to use. You guys will find them online. There will be a few that we'll upload, and we will also you're also free to use perhaps one of your own photographs. The only thing that I would say is make sure that it's royalty free, that you own it or you have access to using it. Um, don't use somebody else's work because that could cause trouble for you later. So this is a photograph that I took a few years ago that I'm going to be using for this assignment. Um, Basically, I just thought this was a nice kind of uh, I thought there were some nice colors in here I wanted to play with. The biggest one was this green kind of spilling in back here. I thought that could make a nice little uh, like rim light, or we can use this as a motivating source. This alley light here could be uh, a nice key light that that we're using. We can put Simon over here to the side and kind of wrap it around that way. Um, and I thought that would work out pretty well. So there's two main practical color lights that I want to work in there, and then we can work on a couple other lights just for Simon based on this environment that don't necessarily have as much of a source as these two. And this is kind of weak, but we'll push it to get it in there. Okay, so that's the image that we're going to use. And like I said, there should be some others in the asset library for you to download. Um, but yeah, so the first thing that we want to do is I like to create a new camera for just for the purpose of being um, our main camera. So I like to call it render cam because when you're going through the render settings and you're looking for which camera to use, I always like to keep it clear which one it's the rendering cam. So here we are. We just kind of want to set this up a little bit in a position that roughly we want. And it's tough to know exactly what we're looking at. So I like to go to View, Camera Settings, and get the resolution gate going. And this will basically give us the render box so we can see exactly what the final render image is going to be. And in this pose, it may actually be nice to put him, on the right side of the image, so that that does look a little better. Okay, so that's kind of roughly where I'm. We just kind of want this to be a headshot. So that's roughly where I'm going to position the camera here. And now we're going to go ahead and scroll down through our camera settings to image. Let's see, we'll go environments and then image plane. And you want to create your image plane. And then we want to place our backdrop onto this, our background onto this. Because, and this isn't what even though this will show up in the render and everything from now, this isn't necessarily how we're going to do this for the final image, but this is how we're going to work to visualize Simon into this scene. So as you can see, let me tumble this camera around just a little bit to show you guys that. So the image plane sticks to the camera and it kind of sticks it at a fixed distance away inside the resolution gate. So let's go back to where we were here. And so you can see that if you look through another camera and then select the render cam, and if you rotate this and pivot this around, you can see this thing just kind of that your image plane will move with it. And you can change the distance in the settings here as well. But it's pretty good for now because again it's just like a visualization. Because again, this is what we'll do. We'll render once we get the lighting the way we want. We'll render Simon separately, and then bring it into Photoshop or Nuke or whatever you want, and then you can place him back over the image and go from there, because that'll be a better quality to do that. Okay, so we've got this where we want it. Let's see, let's go ahead and slide him around just. Yeah, kind of pull him off the edge a little bit to keep within like a title safe, action safe area. You never want to push things too close to the edge for that purpose. Things are going to get trimmed a little bit for NTSC or other purposes. But since like I usually only have my stuff online, so it's not that big of an issue. Okay, but just something to be aware of. So we've got Simon located here. The thing that I'm starting to realize now is that if he's going to be on the right half of the image, that this background plate as it is right now may not be the best idea, because it's nice that he's blocking this light when we get it, but I kind of want him to be a little bit light over dark to get him to pop off a little bit. So I was thinking that he would be on this side, but giving his let's take the easy way out here, and we'll just flip this background plane, and I think let's see how that'll work. I have a copy of it where it's actually flipped. So let's flip this over. Oh, okay. So now we'll have him of Simon over this. Yeah, kind of over this area. Keep some of that green light exposed so that we can use that. Yeah, and then we'll bring the green rim in over here. We'll have this light lighting him on this side. Yeah. So once we kind of position this where we want it, then okay, I think that's good. Okay, that's fine. And once we get this camera positioned where we want it, what I like to do is to go ahead and lock it into place. And that's because I will, throughout the course of my lighting, I will try and change it, and I will break it, and I will get angry. So at this point, I would like to go into the camera attributes editor, or attribute settings, and then right click on translate, lock that, and lock the rotation too. So that basically at any point if I try and move this camera around, it just won't go anywhere. Okay, so now we're on to lighting a little bit. For now, let's save this as an iterated version. Get my PLE there. As we're kind of going through this, I crashed when I was making this video once before, so I want to show you guys that throughout this process it's good to save your work and save it in iterations, because sometimes a file can become corrupt. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to lighting. So the first light I want to place is I want this to kind of be our key light, and I want it to just kind of be a little bit of a rim key, a little bit, because this light source is going to be behind him. But I can see that on this pillar here that there's actually some more light being forced in this way. So we might actually use kind of a double key thing. We'll use this light here, and then we'll wrap a little bit more around his face, similar to what we did with the eyeball. I think that'll work. So we'll go with that for now. So let's create our key light here, because since that's our main light source, I will say that we'll call that our key light. So I'll call it key alley light, and we'll look through it. We'll start to position this here, center it on Simon, so it's kind of up a little bit, and back around to the side here. And we will, yeah, just for now, we'll keep the color and everything, and all the other settings the same. We'll just work on positioning it for now. And let's go ahead and render this. And we'll, oh, sorry. Huh. rendered it from the wrong camera there. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and render it from, again, render cam. So it's not, we're not picking from perspective 1 or perspective 3 or whatever camera. Like we always know that render cam is our camera. I like it. So okay, so you can see the background plane is starting to show up, and um, okay, so now we've got this light coming in. Well, tell you what, look back through this. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more on Simon. I'm not really liking that I'm seeing his legs. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and unlock these attributes here of the render cam. Sorry, I was unlocking the wrong ones there. So unlock these. And now I just want to zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, like that better. Lock these back up. And now, try rendering this one more time. Okay, so we're starting to see, we're getting an idea of what this light's going to look like. Because again, it's always good to, even if this is an all 3D scene, it's always good to light your characters over the simulated background of what they're going to be. It's always misleading to light them over black because it can give you some false reads and some false effects. So yes, I think this is working pretty well. Oh, and another thing to really start to visualize is we need this light to be a shadow caster because again it'll be our key light. So let's go ahead and turn just ray trace shadows on for now. And the good thing about working with this scene this way, and we want to isolate now our render just around Simon. So the good thing about working with just a headshot is that we don't have to worry about the shadows being cast on the ground. So light linking won't be as big of an issue, and we'll go ahead and we can have more lights cast, casting shadows without fear that they'll be crisscrossing all over the ground and all that stuff. So yeah, so I think this light's working. It's working pretty well. I think we might need it. I think it's pushed around the front a little bit too much. So go ahead and we'll tweak it to go backwards, back just a little bit more. So we'll rotate this back this way. Try that again. With this. Render this area. Oh, excuse me. So, okay, so now we're getting it a little bit more rimmy. I think that'll work. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for now. So now let's soften up the shadow a little bit, and we'll get the color in line. Because right now you're seeing like a little bit of harshness here on his arm. So let's go ahead and raise this up, and let's get the shadow, or let's get the light color going here. So I like to data pick, or color pick, I'm sorry, our colors here. So let's, yeah, so we'll go ahead and zoom in on the background here. And let's color pick just one of these color, just this kind of yellowy color right back in here. Let's see what that gets us. Okay. So it's a little bit more orangey than what it looks like, so we'll go ahead and just push that just a little bit. There. Okay. Now let's see where that takes us. Oh, huh. At some point I selected this little tiny area there by mistake. Let's bring this back to being around Simon. And again, we're just kind of looking for the color to, because once the colors start to come together, that's where we really start to see some integration. Um, Somebody taught me a long time ago, and I always thought this was good, that when you're integrating an object or a character into a background, it's the the biggest thing that you can look for is to matching the black and white points, and I find that to be very true. So now we've got. I think this is a good. We're kind of in a good place here for now. I think. Uh, yeah, I think from here we're going to. I think we'll leave that light as is, and we'll just kind of maybe up the intensity on it a little bit because it's a little dull right now, and then we'll start working in that secondary key light, that kind of key wrap around the front of him there. So let's go ahead and try this real quick, and then I think we'll move on from there. Because again, we want this to be our main light source, but we just want to pull that wrap around just a little bit to get a little bit more lighting on the front of his face, so that when we start, because we know at this point we're not going to get too much contribution from the rim or the bounce or the fill light from this side from any sort of practical lighting, so we'll have to kind of force that in. Okay, so I think this is good from here. We've softened the shadow up on his arm a little bit, and now let's pull a secondary key around. So I like this color. We'll keep this color the same, and we'll just duplicate our key light here, and then so we've got alley shape, alley 1. We'll just, instead of alley light, call it alley light wrap. And again, we'll pull this around just a little bit more, and in much the same way that we did with the eye, we will turn off the specularity on it because we don't want that to double up. And let's see, so we've got both these lights having an intensity of 1.4. We'll turn the main one down to like 1.1 and make this one 0.3 or 0.35. Because again, we want the main light still to be from back here. We just want to push a little bit more light around the front. Let's save this. Render that. We'll check it from here. So yeah, so now as you can see, we're starting to get, so we're starting to get a little bit less light around his, a little bit of less harshness to him there. We're just kind of pushing it around just a little more. I like the way that's looking. So let's make sure. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So it's just a little bit more light wrapping around his face there. Okay, so for now, we'll call this part 1 of this video. When we come back, we'll start implementing that rim light, as well as some other secondary lights in there as well. But I just figure this is a good place to stop, and we'll go from there.